The first team up today, they're represented by head coach Sonny Galloway, student athletes Jordan John, Caleb Bushyhead, and Max White. We'll take an opening statement from the coach first and then ask for questions for the student athletes only. We'll turn them loose and then more questions for the head coach after that. Coach Galloway, opening statement, please.
Well, first of all, I'd rather Caleb be sitting over here at Jordan because I'm looking way too short. Caleb make me look a little taller. I would like to I'd like to say how happy we are to be here and what a great privilege it's going to be to compete against South Carolina and Coach Ray Tanner. So really on behalf of the University of Oklahoma, our baseball program, and our Director of Athletics, Joe Castiglione, we're extremely excited to be in a super regional again and be able to compete here. What a beautiful, magnificent facility. You know, I've seen it many times on television, but it is really special to be able to walk around and see this facility and know that their student athletes get to perform and take advantage of a weight room and a batting cage and the things that they have here. It's pretty remarkable. I drove around, looked at the football stadium, and here there's renovations to the basketball stadium, and I tell you what, you've got a university on fire right now with what's going on in their athletics department. So, you know, first of all, we're just very complimentary towards what we're seeing. And I think the other side of it, the thing I think about is here you've got athletes that are matching a facility. Because as nice as this facility is, I'm telling you, the athletes, and I've always said this, I tell our grounds crew all the time, hey, you know, I know you want the grass to look good and green and pretty and stripe it up, but what good is a good looking yard if the athletes aren't very good that are on top of it? So we tear our yard up pretty good trying to practice to the point we got a practice facility, a practice field. So we, you know, because we go after it pretty hard, but what you have is you have athletes and you have coaches that match your facility, and it's pretty remarkable. I know we are the last team to defeat South Carolina. It was a great game, 5-4. Lots been made of it. I brought it up, and I guess stirred some things up. But I remember that game like it was yesterday. You know, that 5-4 victory, lightning in the background. Ryan Duke trying to close it off for us, and then of course having to come back and play the extra inning game where Jackie Bradley Jr. got a hit, and don't want to remember that one too well, but that was, I guess, the second of 19 in a row now. So pretty remarkable. The one thing before I turn it over to our student athletes is, you know, it's pretty remarkable to win back-to-back. Pat Casey at Oregon State's a good friend of mine. He won back-to-back national championships. We competed against him earlier this year in the Nike Classic and played at their stadium. And that's pretty neat to do. So I know it means a lot to South Carolina, but more importantly to a baseball coach and to myself and my son Callan, who's standing over there by the door. When we got to compete against South Carolina in 2010, I was very thankful and felt very blessed and said a lot of prayers that my son, because I'd been to Omaha in 92, 94, 95. We won a national championship in 94. I was an assistant at Oklahoma at that time. My son had never been to Rosenblatt, and I felt blessed to go to Rosenblatt Stadium with some outstanding student athletes. A couple of them are up here at the podium, in Caleb and in Max. It was really special, but for Callan to be able to go with his dad as a coach, the head coach, and experience Rosenblatt the last year was special. Now, I can't even imagine how special it would have been had I been Ray Tanner and got to dogpile on that for the last time. And then on top of that, to have the blessing to go to Ameritrade field the first time and dogpile on it, that you know, I don't care who wins back-to-back anywhere, anytime. The fact that South Carolina got to dogpile for the last time at Rosenblatt and then got to be the first team to dogpile at the new ballpark, that is pretty remarkable. That to me is the thing that stands out the most, is how blessed and talented and fortunate and whatever you want to throw out there is pretty amazing. And that's something they're going to have the rest of their life on top of, you know, something that Pat Casey did with Oregon State.
Questions for the student athletes? If you raise your hand, please, we'll get a microphone to you. David?
For Max and Caleb, Coach has already mentioned it about the last game against South Carolina. Do you guys think about that in your preparation, about what you saw 2 years ago and about how you guys were the last ones to beat them in the postseason?
Yeah, it's definitely crossed our mind. I mean, we definitely remember that game vividly. I mean, that was a heartbreaking loss that knocked us out of the 2010 College World Series. It's not something you just forget about. You know, that's in the back of our mind, and you know, that might be something that drives a few of us here this weekend in the Super Regional. But looking back on it, there's only a handful of us here this weekend that were actually a member of that 2010 team that had that last loss to South Carolina there. So, but that is something that could drive a few of us. I mean, for me and Max personally, I know it'll drive both of us because we were both members of that team, played on that team. So yeah, it could be something that drives us. But I mean, just being here in a Super Regional, honestly, regardless of who we're playing, we're going to be pretty driven to get the Sooners back to Omaha.
Next.
Yeah, I mean, we're just excited to be back to Super Regional. You know, last year we were pretty disappointed going 2-0. And getting back here to South Carolina, you know, we don't get to play this team often. You know, 2010 World Series was the first time we played them, I think. So coming back here for Super Regional is very exciting.
For any of the players, I mean, if you could talk about how, you know, that grueling regional, that, you know, you get caught in the loser's bracket, losing the first game, and then you have to fight your way through the rain delays, you know, wondering how long it's going to take. How grueling a process was that, and will that take anything out of you, or do you feel like you've gotten a lot of momentum from that coming into here?
I would see that as a momentum coming back into here for us personally. I mean, got a 4-game winning streak. I mean, we know that with our backs against the wall, that's kind of how we performed at our best all season. You know, I feel like as a club, we've had our backs against the wall several times this year, whether it was concerned we weren't going to make the Big 12 tournament, whether it's concerned we weren't going to make the NCAA postseason, and whether or not we were facing elimination 4 times in a row, and we were able to come out and find victory 4 times, and now you see us sitting here. So I think that's something that really drives us and that helps us, and that'll carry over to this weekend. We played pretty good baseball, in my opinion, for the most part, and hopefully that's going to carry over into this weekend for us.
Jordan, with the number of pitchers that you guys had to do what you were able to do in those 4 games, what was that kind of like watching a lot of that, and then how much confidence does that give you going into a series where you got to play 3 games in 3 days potentially when you all did, you know, 1, 4, and 4 with seemingly an endless number of pitchers?
It definitely shows, it gives us a calming effect, you know, being able to, you know, play 5 games in a week and have to come, you know, win 4 straight elimination games. I think that puts our defense has a lot of confidence in our pitching staff, and, you know, shows a lot of resiliency. And, you know, you have to give a lot of credit to our coaching staff and our pitching coach, Jack Geesey, to, you know, be able to put us in a position to win like that. So as a pitching staff, we're very excited. We're battle tested, and you know, I think that you know, we're very deep, and we have a, you know, a very good shot to win a Super Regional. So
For any of the 3 players, just how hard or easy is it to take the momentum from last weekend, take a few days off, but bring it into this Super Regional, considering you guys had to win 4 games in 2 days just to be here?
You know, the momentum is definitely there, but we know that South Carolina's won back-to-back national championships, so it's not going to be easy. Coming here to the stadium's a fantastic stadium, plenty of fans for them, and we just got to come out, stay tough, and play our game.
You guys didn't dogpile or anything.
Let's get a microphone to you, please.
You guys didn't dogpile or anything after you beat Virginia. Was it more of a sense of relief, or just advancing, or you expected to do it?
I'd say it's more kind of expected to do it. I know that's how it was for me personally. After being really disappointed last year, you know, going 2-0 in regionals, and knowing that this year coming back, I had to make a better run, especially for my senior season. And for the club as a whole, you know, for our team, the organization, the fans, just everybody all around, all Sooners. And so when we won in Virginia, I mean, it was great. It was awesome knowing that we did it. We'd come back and won 4 straight, and we were thoroughly excited. But at the same time, we expected to do that. And we said right from the get-go after we lost that first game, we said, you know what, I'm going to be surprised if we don't come back and we're not in the championship game, and we're surprised if we don't come back and win the whole thing. That's what Coach G told us on the bus after the game. So, you know, that's exactly what we did. So in a way, we expected to do it. Our coaching staff expected us to do it, and that's how we did it.
Daryl.
Caleb and Max, the game obviously 2 years ago when Jackie Bradley was down to his last strike there, and there was kind of a pitch over the inside that some of the South Carolina guys have said that they kind of thought that was it. That was going to be it. Just your kind of, what do you recall about your emotions throughout that at bat when it was so close, one strike away, and then your thoughts when he hits the ball, which obviously doesn't win the game and ties it, but could you just kind of recount your emotions, where you kind of were, what you were thinking during that particular at bat?
I mean, clearly I was heartbroken, as is everyone else, but I'm not going to argue balls and strikes. That's baseball. There's an umpire back there behind the plate, and it's his own judgment. That's not for us to determine. That's for him. We just got to go play. When he did get called the ball, everyone's like, I wish it had been a strike, but it's not. And so we bared right back down, battled up, and we were ready to make a play, and it just so happened that he got a hit. That's just how it kind of goes sometimes. That's baseball for you. So you live with it. It's not always fun, but that's how it is.
I mean, obviously, it was a long week with all the rain delays, and the game went to 12 innings. So it was pretty emotional. There's times where I was in left field, and I was trotting off thinking it was a strike, and I did on that pitch. But, like Caleb said, it's the game of baseball. Things don't always go your way, but you got to turn right around and get back after it.
Anything else for the student athletes?
That ball was really close to your first baseman getting it when you saw it. How close did it look from the field to him? I mean, it was really sharply hit, but how close did it look?
I don't even remember, honestly. I just saw it going to right field. I mean, I'm sure Cam made the best play possibly could have on that. I'm not going to put any fault on him or anyone else, I thought we played a great game of baseball, and so did South Carolina, and they came out on top, and that's all you can really say about it, And how about we talk about this weekend coming up? I think that's going to be a lot more fun.
Caleb and Max, just what's the biggest differences from your team 2 years ago and now? It seems like you guys have more depth in the pitching staff, but just what's been, I guess, the overriding theme for you guys this year, or how have you got yourself motivated this year?
Well, we're very resilient. We've had a very tough season, long season, up and down in the lineup, 1 through 9. It was tough trying to find sync with everybody, starting pitchers, hitters. I mean, one day the pitchers would throw amazing and the hitters wouldn't do good, or the hitters would get 15 hits a game and the pitchers wouldn't do well. So, it was tough early on, but this team's a lot tougher, I believe. We were very talented in 2010, and things fell into place really early. Won a lot of games early, and now this team's young. A lot of excitement and adrenaline with this team. I love coming out with this guys. So this year is just way more exciting.
Anything else for the student athletes? All right, let them go. Thanks, guys. Any questions for Coach Galloway? We're in the back of the room, Rick.
Coach, you said you were the first one to mention that Oklahoma was the last one to beat South Carolina in the postseason and stirred some things up. You have any regrets now about making those comments and stirring some stuff up?
No, not at all. You know what? It's when you go back to the Virginia regional. When we lost 5-4, I had someone in the press room mention after the fact that Coach, you came in here down losing the first game 5-4 and seemed like the most confident coach we'd ever seen. Laid out a map, of what you were going to do and a plan of how you were going to win this thing. And you said power right-handed arm, power left-handed arm, power right-handed arm. And I even asked them if they wanted names, we could give them names, or they could give me the names and we'd throw them, because we're going to need everybody. And it's not overconfidence, it's just a fact. I mean, the fact is, in 2010, Ray and I talked about this many times, and we joked about it at the national convention. He was in coat and tie going to get his National Coach of the Year award, and I was in khakis because I was getting ready to go get a burger down the road. We talked about that last pitch. We can't get into balls and strikes even in here. But I just wanted to know, because I know what I did. The camera's on me right here on ESPN, and I called the pitches for 4 years. Mike Bell, who's now at Florida State, was my pitching coach at the time. We've got a new pitching coach, but we kept trying to go away to Jackie, and we had Jackie leaning. And I said, Mike, you think we can get in on him here? because Jackie could swing it. And I'm wondering if that is that the tying run against us? Because here it is. Oh, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. But
Winning run.
oh, that's what I'm saying. Because he got. That's why I'm asking. Jackie sliding, is that the winning run? So anyway, what was I saying? I said, Mike, I said, you think we can get in on him here? Mike's sitting right to my right. The camera's right there, and you got to stay poised. You got kids looking at you that, you know, are 12 years old. You'd like to get down the road. And I said, he goes, Coach, I know we can. I said, let's do it. I said, right now, let's do it. So you know how the pitching coaches are with their numbers. He flashes a number in there, and we set up with Tyler Ogle, and I stood up. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, nothing's happening. So I'm like, sit down, sit down. Well, Mike won't sit down. He's a little more animated. I said, Mike, sit down. It's 3-2, we're okay, sit down. Because it was 2-2 at the time. He's like, but Coach, sit down, you know, because the camera's on us. We got to stay calm. We just got to get the out. So I said, okay, here's where we're going to go. We call backdoor slider is what it was. And because, you know, first base is open, and Jackie Bradley's a very, very good player. And sure enough, you know, he gets around it, hooks it. It's just outside of Cam. And I asked Ray at the convention, I said, I know what I did. I said, what did you do? And he told me he was in the coaching stance, and he's watching that pitch. And when that pitch was right there, he said he just went. And he looked, and he said nobody's shoes were moving. You know, if you lost, game over, everybody's going to start scurrying around or whatever. And he said no shoes were moving. He's like, looked up, and, you know, he's like, all right, here we go. Come on, baby. And you know, that's how things happen. But, hey, here's the deal. Here's the deal. We are the last team, and it's been 19 in a row. That is an absolutely amazing feat. And you know what? It was the first national championship for the University of South Carolina, right? In any sport in 2010, is that right?
We have women's track.
Oh, okay, women's track. Okay, in men's sport. And then to go back to back, 19 in a row. I mean, that is amazing. And our job as opponents, not us, if it's anybody else at any point, if they are to defeat us this weekend and go to Omaha, it is other university and their head coach's job to go out and try to stop that. So it's not disrespectful in any way. And I think that the South Carolina fans are going to fill the ballpark and cheer for the Gamecocks regardless of what Coach Galloway said either way. So it wasn't like I was going to win anybody over or lose anybody more than I already had. But I will tell you this, we do live by a motto, we're mentally tough. The University of Oklahoma athletes are mentally tough. It has been the hardest year in 21 years of coaching for me. 15, 16 of them as a head coach, this has been the toughest year. We were not very good early on in the year. We lost to Pepperdine in the first series. We started our conference 0-4. We got swept by our arch rival Texas, and I was extremely disappointed. We played bad that weekend. Texas did not make the regional for the first time in 16 years. That was a bad weekend for us. So we have really been behind the 8 ball. I moved Max White, who was in here, from first base to third base to left field to center field. Now, you know, I don't know what you call that. Maybe poor coaching, because I didn't know where he should be. And he's a junior. He started 3 years. But he's in the best place he can be for us defensively and offensively right now. Jordan John is going to start first game for us. He was our closer. We had a 3-run lead against Dallas Baptist, DBU, who's also was in the regional. We had a 3-run lead in the 9th inning, and he didn't finish it for us. We got beat with him as a closer. We had to move that around. But here's the main thing, and our kids hear this from their coach all the time. God already knows what's going to happen this weekend. And it is going to happen, I promise you. And it's a Christian faith, it's a Christian walk, it's things that a lot of times get left out of the press. But God already knows what's going to happen. It's already been written. We have to have the courage to live it, and we will. And that relieves my players of any pressure they're ever going to have, of any statement their coach is ever going to have. I went in the press conference, I said we're going to come back and win this regional at Virginia, and we did. I'm not in here predicting that we're going to win this, but I will tell you for a fact we're going to have the courage to play it the way the Oklahoma Sooners should play. And we are really excited because I have the utmost respect for Ray Tanner. I absolutely do. I coached Team USA in 2002, and I had a catcher by the name of Landon Powell, and he told me about his coach that he would die for in Ray Tanner. And that was the first day I started respecting him. I got to know him. Ray and I have talked many times, and he has told me how he has evolved as a coach and how I have evolved. And he has done something as a head coach that I would very much love to do, and that is watch young men that you love dogpile in Omaha. And so it's going to be a fun weekend, and we're going to have the courage to compete in it, and God already knows what's going to happen, and everybody gets to witness it.
Coach, you mentioned Jordan would start game 1. Who will be in game 2 and potentially game 3?
Jonathan Gray scheduled to go in game 2. Dylan Overton is our number 3 guy. We throw him on the back end because he is terrific out of the bullpen. If Jordan struggles early tomorrow, Dylan could go right away. Stephen Okert is our power left-handed arm that closes and finishes as our back end guy. He can be up to 96, 97 miles per hour, and we don't like to go to him early. So that's why we've got Dylan Overton, who's just a sophomore. Jonathan Gray is just a sophomore. We have a terrific pitching staff. We have guys drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. We've got 2 sophomores that are going to return that are in our rotation, and more power arms behind that. So we're very blessed, and that's why we roll them out, because Dylan's so good out of the bullpen.
Sonny, talking about that game 2 years ago, how long did it take you to get past it? I mean, was it something that it didn't sound like it would take a long time?
It's probably going to take about 10 more years, because I remember everything about it. Everything. So, I mean, I looked at that, I knew that was him sliding in there, and I remember everything about it. Unfortunately, I can't forget it. So, and you know what, winning here this weekend, if God's got that in store, it's not going to change that. We left heartbroken. We played toe-to-toe with the best team in the country, with the national championship team. How many opportunities do you get to win a national championship? Well, Ray, I saw the ball out there. He's had a bunch. He should have won more than 2 than by now, by the way. No, I'm kidding. But how many opportunities do you get? And so my job at the University of Oklahoma is to build a program much like what Ray has done here. We are behind, in years. I'm in completing year 7, and we want to mirror and we want to do what South Carolina has done. And so the first thing we got to do is go back and we got to raise $36 million. No, seriously, we've got to put ourselves in a position to get to Omaha. That's the first thing. And the way you put yourself in a position is you get to compete in the NCAA tournament. Then you get to win regionals. You want to host. If the road to Omaha goes through Columbia for South Carolina, then they're doing it the right way. The road for us has been different. It was through Virginia. It was at home against North Carolina and some good teams, and then to Virginia. But we're putting ourselves in a better position every year to get there, because we're getting better, we're getting tougher, we're getting back to like we were in 92, 94, 95 when I was an assistant. We were rolling back then. And we can do it again, but we've got to keep building. And our director of athletics, Joe Castiglione, I'm telling you, I have the utmost respect. He's outstanding, and he puts all of our student athletes at the forefront. And so he's coming in here. I can't wait for him to see this facility. I wish I could tour it with him, but I'll be busy.
Anything else, Daryl?
Sonny, you were talking about some of your power arms, and obviously a guy who can throw hundreds. I guess that would be powerful. How have you seen Damian kind of progress throughout the year and develop from maybe a guy who could just throw 100 to a guy who could pitch while throwing 100?
Well, early on, we tried to put him in the rotation. He struggled with his command. He had a game where he threw a complete game against Arkansas and beat them 4-0. And Dave Van Horn said it best. Of course, being from your conference, you're very familiar with Arkansas and Coach Van Horn. He said in the 9th inning, they're getting shut out 4-0, and he looked up at the scoreboard, and there's a 102 on the 3rd pitch to his first hitter. And he said he looked down, and the third base coach in Boxer just shook his head. And afterwards, he told the press, he said, that's ridiculous. It's college baseball. It's the 9th inning. The guy's throwing 102. And you know what? He's just a power arm, and he's got to learn how to control it. I tell him all the time, it's like you're a NASCAR. You can go you go, 180 miles per hour, but you lose control. You're better at driving at 120. You don't want to try to go 70. You're not built for that, but you just got to be able to control what you're doing. And once he harnesses that, it's really going to be special. There's not very many human beings walking around this planet that can do that. And it's fun to watch. I hope you guys get an opportunity to see that, because he can sure rock that gun. And is there miles per hour on the scoreboard? That'd be fun, because the first time it does it, everybody in the stands like, ooh, I don't care if it's home or away. It's pretty cool to see. But for him to get in the ball game and where he is and how we utilize him will be different in unique situations.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about how you've encouraged your team not to have any pressure. Does it also help that you, going back to the Virginia Regional, you guys had your backs against the wall, and to tell your guys, hey, there's no pressure. If we somehow lost game one, we're still right here in it.
It's exactly how we're built. We play our best when our back's to the wall, because it's simple. You can't retreat when your back's to the wall, so sound the bugle, you got to charge. You got to know where to go. And that's how we've played all year. Now, our program has been much better and in better positions than that. I would say Ray clearly is, not got his back to the wall. They've had tremendous success, and it's got to be much looser and maybe even more fun for Roth than it will be for Jordan. Jordan's going to have some pressure tomorrow. Roth's been in that position. But again, I think it comes back to our mentality and the things that, I say and do, because they pay attention. And when we lost our first super regional game 2 years ago at Virginia and got to compete against you guys in Omaha, we lost 3-2. I got on the bus and I said, perfect, fellas, you guys got them right where you want them. That's perfect. We got them set up. They think they got it. We're going to win it. We know their fans. We know their field. We know everything, right? And we don't know this place. We got to compete. And so in game one, we're going to get settled in and we're going to compete. I don't know if we're going to win or lose, but I do know this. When we wake up tomorrow, we need 2 wins to get to Omaha. And if we lose tomorrow, when we wake up the next day, we're going to need 2 wins to go to Omaha. That's how we're built. So it ain't about one game. It's about whoever wins 2 games first. And so that's how we're going to approach it. And I think that you've got to take pressure. I mean, look at the beautiful facilities. Look at the coverage. Look at the TV exposure. These guys are young men. I mean, they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and their phones, Twitter, hopefully y'all do it, their phones are blowing up. I mean, everybody knows them back home. Caleb Bushyhead, Manford, Oklahoma. And he's a rock star. So it's a big deal, and you got to try to take the pressure off of them. And remember, and I said it on the radio station here, that guy's going to crawl behind the catcher, and he's going to yell what it's all about, and it's play ball. He ain't going to say work ball. It ain't work. We're going to go have fun. He's going to say play ball. We're going to play. You guys need to play. We're going to play. Everybody play. Nobody yell at anybody. No fans yell at Coach Galloway because he said we were the last team to beat y'all. That's no big deal. That was history. Let's just have fun and play. And you know what? God willing, the best team's going to come out of here. And the other thing is, and I'll tell you this, I mean it, if South Carolina defeats Oklahoma, I'm going to be cheering for them in Omaha to win their 3rd one. That's the bottom line. When they beat us in Omaha in 2010, I wanted them to win the whole thing. I was the biggest fan because what did it do? It made us look good. We were toe-to-toe. We didn't get it done. It made us believe that we're close, if not right there, and we have been. We've been very close. We just haven't got over the hump yet.
With that, Coach, we'll let you go.
All right, thank you.